Hello everybody, it's Josh as usual, and I am just doing that thing where I hit up the likes to try to get people interested here. Hey Oth, I guess if I tell you that I'm starting right now, you show up right now, which is wonderful, thank you. Hey Jet Life baby, hi Hunter, good to see you all. Obviously you know that I don't have to tell you two that I need you to pump up the likes, right Jet Life baby? I have seen some of these, I've seen some of the stats in the past, and you don't tap up the likes. All you have to do is tap on the screen a few times. Yes, that's right. I can follow what everybody does on here. Anyway, I will start my routine, and we will begin the big show. Good morning. Hey, you did one. See, it's amazing what shame will do for somebody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody who is out here this evening, at least where I am. My name is Josh. I was a porn addict for 24 years. That is correct. You heard me correct. I was a porn addict for 24 years. I was also an alcoholic for 22 years. I am now clean and sober for the last 11 years. And relapse-free the entire time. For the last 8 years, have been in this industry. I am an author. I've written 4 books. I also, I know you click on and off. I don't watch. It actually says you watch very long off. It actually says you watch quite a long time. You're usually in the top 3 or 4 if you're here the whole time. And I'm never going to criticize you. And I'm just giving Jet Life shit because that's what I do. That's what I do. Anyway, as I said, I was a porn addict 24 years, alcoholic 22 years, clean and sober for the last 11. I started as an author in this area. I started as a public speaker in this area. But for the last 5 years, I have been a full-time pornography addiction coach, a full-time betrayal trauma coach, and a full-time disclosure specialist. If you have any questions about pornography addiction, if you have any questions about betrayal trauma, questions about communication and trust in relationships, I am absolutely here to answer any of those questions that you may want to discuss. I am going to do my standard bit up front unless somebody asks a question, and that is to answer the question we are going to get more times than anything else. And that is, how do you begin to quit? And how do you begin to quit is very personal. How do you begin to quit has nothing to do with the actual content of the pornography. Why must you quit? Why are you here listening to me? Why are you considering the idea of quitting pornography? What is it about the porn that it may ruin your life? What is it about the addiction that may ruin your life? Please keep tapping up likes. I'd appreciate that very much. Please keep tapping up likes. That gets people in the room, especially early on here. Share it if you'd like as well. Follow me if you'd like as well. But ultimately, you need to figure your must. Go ahead and ask off. I'm all ears. What does porn potentially take away from you? If you continue with your porn, are you going to lose your relationship? Are you going to never get in a relationship? Are you risking your mental or your physical health? Are you risking your job? Are you turning into somebody who you are not used to being? Do you find that your values and your morals and who you consider yourself at the core? All I saw was LOL, off. I didn't actually see a question. So what is it that makes you need to quit? What is it that makes you need to quit? And it's beyond the idea of, oh, I should quit. Oh, this would be a good idea if I quit. Why must you quit? What is your motivation going to be? That's the most important part. Thank you for those likes, Blotty. Do I feel more energetic and better after quitting corn? 100%. And you know what sucks is I quit corn in my mid-30s. And here I am in my mid to late 40s, and I have more energy now than I've ever had. I am happier now than I've ever been. I am mentally more clear. I am more emotionally available to the ones who are close to me. 100% better in life that I have recovered from pornography addiction. I also recovered from alcohol addiction at the same time. I asked, how were you a PA for 24 years if you just turned 26 a couple days ago? I've always been advanced. You know what actually somebody pointed out to me? They said they think I've been a porn addict 25 years and I should sit down and do the math. From when I actually quit and went to rehab, because it was a month after my 36th. I was 37 technically, but I don't think my cousin showed me this stuff until the summer that I was 12. So I think it's 24 and a half. I guess it doesn't matter, 24, 25 years. Thank you for your work. This is so normalized. You're welcome, user 206. I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you listening to the words that I have to say. Thank you. Yeah, there's no way I'm 26. If I was 26, I'd be out drinking and looking at porn. How quickly can I expect those benefits after quitting? It's not something where you're going to wake up and be like, oh, look at this. It is slow. Recovery is not an off and on switch. Recovery is like a dimmer switch that moves slow. And recognize this. How long did it take you to become an addict? How long did it take you to get this way? I think you should assume that it's going to probably take 5 to 10% of the time that it took you to become an addict to get to a place of recovery where those benefits are pretty much full time. How quickly can I expect? Users laughing at me. No, I appreciate that. Hey, Hump. How do you know that's a direct response to the absence of corn? Because I know what happened in my life prior and I know what happened in my life after. And the big thing is it really doesn't have to do with the pornography. It really doesn't have to do with pictures of naked people or videos of naked people doing naked things. Addicts use that stuff to get a pleasure center stimulation in their brain. The reason that they do this is not because they're horny. The reason that they do this is not because they like boobs more than the next person. The reason that they do this is because very early on in life, they suffered from some trauma. And while they were dealing with that trauma, they discovered pornography. And they discovered pornography and usage of pornography made them feel very good. So, you keep using. But what happens is you don't develop the proper problem-solving skills, the proper anxiety management skills, the proper stress management skills of most people. That's why you end up as an addict and they don't. That's why some people can look at porn once or twice a month and it's not a big deal. It's like people who can drink 1 or 2 beers, it's not a big deal. You can play video games for 30 minutes and it's not a big deal. These are not addicted people. But these people who are addicts are not addicted to, Mario Kart. They're not addicted to the sounds and smell of the casino. They're addicted to the feeling that they get up here. And when you remove the way for them to get that feeling, it really goes bad for them, because with addiction, your brain actually changes. Addiction is a disease because it changes the chemistry of your brain. So when your brain starts to heal, Hump, you start to see those differences. That's the physical side of it. The mental side, where I do my work as a coach, is on looking at that trauma. Obviously, I help you quit the porn. I've got all kinds of tips and techniques depending on who you are and how you live your life. But the more important work is not how do I quit. The more important work is learning why did I start And what impact did this have on my life? And how do I want to move forward? That's recovery. Quitting porn or quitting gambling or quitting overeating or all of that, that's just fasting. That's just going on a diet. You need to do the mind work to see a different thing, see a different life. And that is when your neurotransmitters and whatnot will create new neural pathways, so you no longer have the mind of an addict after a period of time. That's what happens from the absence of the addictive behavior or the addictive substance hump. The reality is, addiction is addiction is addiction is addiction. I know that a lot of people have moral issues, value issues about pornography because of what it is versus, say, video games. And it makes sense, especially if you're the partner. But the real problem here is the chemical burst that you're after. I'm falling behind here. I'm sorry. I'm going to get to everybody's comments. Please keep hitting up those likes. If you like what I'm saying, please share. If you aren't following me, please do. And also, if you do need any one-on-one help, any one-on-one coaching, visit the front page of the profile, click on the link that says Linktree, and you will be able to book a session with me. Wait, for real, says user? I don't know specifically what, but everything I say here is for real. So I did say, whatever I said was for real that shocked you. Yep, it's real. Camden, 5656, haha. I haven't seen you in a while. Nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you, my friend. Hey, Jeff's Adventures. Thank you for those shares. Appreciate it. Let's go another stream. How was your day, Coach? It was pretty good. I have made the decision that middle of next month, I'm going to go out and visit my son on the West Coast. He's in LA right now going to college, and we're going to meet up in Las Vegas and have a boys weekend, a alcohol-free, porn-free boys weekend. Grace and Katie, thank you for following me. Appreciate that very much. And I also wanted to thank Sam Z16 for sharing the live. That helps too. Jeff's Adventures, I know you followed me too. Thank you. What are you asking is free, Jeff? What are you asking is free? If you're asking if my coaching is free, no, it's not. This is what I do as a full-time job. Much like a therapist, much like a doctor, much like a counselor, it's my full-time job to help people with porn addiction, betrayal, trauma, and to help couples with communication. So yeah, my day was very good, and I started to look into the plans for my trip in Vegas. What do I feel like doing? That kind of stuff. Is that taser video you? That taser video is me, user 206. For those of you wondering what he's talking about, I literally just posted a video of me getting tased probably about 14 years ago. I was a newspaper editor / columnist, and I had to have this stream is free advice, Jeff. Yes, absolutely. This stream is free advice. You can ask any question you want. I decided to volunteer for the local police department's taser training of their officers, and because they need to learn how to remove the little things from somebody's back. So they didn't even need to see me get tased. They needed to learn how to remove the prongs or whatever they are from the back. So I had another reporter come with me to take the video and take the pictures. And yeah, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. I hope that if an officer ever says, I'm going to tase you, do whatever he says. It's just not worth it. I'm glad for you. Plenty to do in Vegas. Travel safely. I'm looking for, and if you have any wonderful ideas, I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear stuff off the beaten path, stuff that isn't, $250 just to walk into the event. But I love Vegas. I think this will probably be my 7th or 8th time going there. I just love it there. How do you quit, says Shop in Bed? Well, the first thing you have to do is figure out, why must you quit? Why must you quit? What is it about pornography that you feel like you must quit? How is pornography going to hurt your life? How is pornography going to change your life for the worst? For the worse. Wow, that was horrible grammar. How is pornography going to change your life for the worse? What's going to happen if you keep going? Are you have no energy, you'll never have energy, you'll be lazy, you won't get those promotions, you won't get a girlfriend or a wife, or you won't get a boyfriend or a husband, or you just think it's not in your character and you don't want to be that person hiding that secret. You have to decide why you want to quit. You have to decide why you must quit. That's the number one thing. Because on week 2, after you've gone 15 days without using and you're having a horrible evening, you find out a friend of yours got hit by a car. You got a letter from the IRS saying you owe them $5,000. When, something just sideswipes you unexpectedly, and in the past you would say, well, I'm just going to escape. I don't want to even think about this. I'm going to go. Sideswipes you unexpectedly, and in the past you would say, well, I'm just going to escape. I don't want to even think about this. I'm going to go use porn. What's going to stop you from using porn on those nights? What's going to stop you from using porn on those nights? That's what you must figure out first. My ex chose his porn addiction over me. Well, Rach, I assume it's Rachel, but you might be better off. You might be better off because a lot of people, a lot of ladies, they get to hear, no, I'm picking you, baby. No, I'm going to go with you. And I would say half the time they don't. They just keep doing what they want to do. So at least this guy was up front, right? And my favorite word in that sentence is X. You've moved on. Elliot, how are you? What is considered addiction? I give up. Are you trying to keep writing? I don't know what you're giving up about, so I need to know. What is considered addiction? Great question, Elliot. For me, the definition of addiction is when you engage in some type of behavior that, despite knowing there are going to be negative consequences, you can't stop yourself from using. Roosevelt, thank you for the corn. I appreciate that very much. Always looking for gifts. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. So thank you very much. So Elliot, yeah, ultimately, you know the behavior you're doing is wrong. You know that it's going to lead to ruin, but you can't stop yourself. That's overall addiction. If you wonder if you're a porn addict, I urge you to go to the front page of my profile, and up where there are 3 pinned videos, one of them says the 11 symptoms of porn addiction. And you can watch that video and count along, and then I let you know what the score means at the end. But even more important than that, then am I an addict, is am I going to do anything about it, if I am? Once I know why I want to quit, then what? Once you know why, then you have to probably talk to somebody about how to quit. Let's say you come to me. My first session, for usually the first 30 minutes, it's learning about your patterns, learning about why you started, learning about how you've behaved in life, learning about the choices you've made in life, learning about who you are as a person, so we can hopefully figure out why did you use. And then if we can figure out why you used, we can largely figure out a couple of techniques, or based on your answers, you have a meeting with me, you'll get a couple techniques to start to get it under control. Thank you for the flower, Roosevelt. Much appreciated. So that is, what you do next. Once you know why you must quit, not why you want to quit, why you must quit, then it's a matter of putting down your ego, putting down any pride you have about this, recognizing you don't have the answers and talking to people who have the answers and building trust with people to have the answers and understanding you need a guide through this and understanding it's not going to happen overnight. It's like if you have a problem with your tooth, you're going to go to the dentist. If you have a problem with your foot, you're going to go to the podiatrist. If you have a problem with addiction, you can go to many different people. Thankfully, I'm one of them. If you're interested in ever booking a session with me, or any of you, of course, go to the front page of the profile, click on the link tree, and there's a link there, the first one, I believe, that says book a session with me, and you can learn all about it there. I cost less than half of what a therapist does, and you can literally have a session with me tomorrow. All right. I'm going to keep going with these questions. Please go ahead and keep asking them. I will, of course, I'm falling behind, but I am going to answer everybody's question. Yes, this is live. Of course, that's the one that goes through. Isn't that always the way? Hey, Jim Hoover, good to see you. How old were you when you quit pornography? Or pornography? I was 36, 37. I waited too long, 24 days. Oh, I'm on the wrong account. Let me join back. Okay. I'll be here. Again, Roosevelt Pam, thank you for the gifts. Very kind. What are those techniques? Yeah. Why don't you book a session with me and find out? Mikey, thank you for sharing the live. Thank you. Appreciate it. Very, 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 very much. I went way too far. I'm sorry. I failed. I went to Reddit. Well, you know why you failed. How can you not go to Reddit next time? Most people don't realize this, but Reddit is the 4th biggest porn site in the world. Just because they have all that other crap doesn't mean they don't still have a tremendous amount of porn. Made it satire. I don't know what that means. With what JJ said, how does one counter their triggers, just not acting? Well, you have to identify your triggers. You have to know what your triggers are. This is why, I tell you to do the urge journal. When are you using? Where are you using? And what happened in the 10 to 15 minutes before you used? Okay. Well, let's not just do use. Let's do urge. Let's do trigger. When you get that trigger, and talking to most of my clients, I would say they get anywhere from 5 to 20 urges a day. Every time you get an urge, write it down. And then you'll see patterns. And once you understand your patterns, once you see what's triggering you, you can then change. For instance, maybe you don't use it night before bed, except on Friday and Saturday, because you can sleep late the next day. You may not realize that you do that. Maybe you use every day that somebody at work or school is mean to you. Maybe you use anytime you watch a certain show. I don't know why I'm moving back and forth so much tonight. I've been doing a lot of that lately. I watch these replays, and it's a little bit disturbing how much movement I have. Anyway, I'm sure that's a neurological thing I'll die of, but whatever. You need to understand your triggers. You need to understand your patterns. A lot of the work in this that I try to do with people is detective work right at first. Let's understand this on a mathematical, scientific, truly detective work way. Let's put the clues together. Let's figure this out. And when you figure out your patterns, you can do something about them. Now, of course, you may still get urges here and there. And it's a matter of how do you not give in when you have an urge now? How do you learn to live with your triggers? One of the things that I'm not a huge fan of about the world of recovery is how much they want you to avoid triggers. I don't think that's a good way of living. Look at me as like an alcoholic. Right after I got out of rehab, right after I really started working recovery, I asked my wife if we could go like 6 months without having alcohol in the fridge. She said, sure. I think it was like 9-10 months later, she asked if she was okay to get a bottle of wine. I never really liked wine, so I said, sure. I have no trouble going to a restaurant and seeing all of the alcohol that's there, because ultimately it's my problem. What you have to recognize is that you need to stand up to your triggers. You need to deal with your triggers. That's your brain trying to tell you it wants something. So what you have to do is tell your brain no. And that's how your brain heals. Oh, we have this urge, we have this urge. Well, screw you and your urge. You don't get any. Oh, well, I guess this isn't the way the brain should be. All right. He's the definition of not a gooner. Thank you, Gizmo. Do you think there's a distinction between addiction and using it occasionally? Are all users addicts? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's a huge distinction between addiction and recreational use. Again, thank you for sharing the live, Mikey. I appreciate it. Hi, Samsina. Hi, glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Yeah, if Oth gives you an answer, that's pretty much my answer. Oth is my bodyguard, my assistant, my partner in crime. She knows everything that pretty much I know here. I don't even enjoy watching that stuff and still end up doing it. Marcel, that is so typical of an addict. So many of my addicts, it stopped being fun watching the, sexy people do the sexy things a long time ago. I would say to you, I was an addict for 24 years. At least the last 10 years of it, there wasn't any horniness involved. There wasn't any, ooh, I want to see this stuff. There was an addiction to needing those chemicals in my head. I needed the dopamine. I needed the oxytocin. I needed the serotonin. So I used, because the only way I could get that chemical reaction was by using pornography or by drinking. But when you're done using your pornography, you can get up and walk away. You can't do that when you're hammered. Period. Thank you for following me. Ray, you scored a 2. Congratulations. No addiction there. Just make sure that you pay attention to your behavior. Good for you. Good for you. 5 says, we all relate to you, Vro. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Elliot says, damn, 5 to 10 is crazy. These guys got to get some 304s. I don't understand what that means, but that's okay. I'm slow, and you're all having conversations with each other, so who knows? And I love that you're all having conversations with each other. Veth Gef Swoof. I hope you've been having a great day, and good for you for putting some positivity into the world and trying to help people. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Suleiman says, I just had a good massage. Well, I'm glad you did. I hope it was therapeutic and didn't involve any happy endings. Marcel, should I tell my future partner about this addiction? I feel like it would be too embarrassing. Well, I would say you should probably take care of the addiction beforehand. You want to get into a relationship with somebody, and you want to lie about the sexual disorder / disease that you have, because it's embarrassing. I would suggest, until you are either clean, or you have a program for being clean, or you are going to tell them the truth from the beginning, that you don't get involved with a future partner, because it's not going to end well. You can't begin a relationship with the idea, I like this person, and I can't wait to lie to them about my disease. That's not the way to start. Is every day bad? Asks Kay. I don't think so. But I guess it depends on what kind of days you're having. You know, I guess if you're sitting in your apartment masturbating 6 times a day and never go outside and never see anybody, yeah, every day could be bad. But, good, bad, these are just value judgments. You can make a bad day good, and you're the only one who can. Hey, Carter, what fuels a corn addiction? Corn. Ultimately, it's being unable to handle trauma at a young age. So you develop coping methods that kind of stop your development. You develop coping methods as an 11, 12, 13-year-old that stop your development in that area because you no longer need to develop coping methods. You have your porn. But over time, porn becomes the problem. So how do you deal when the corn stops helping you with stress? When it stops helping you with anxiety? When it's not doing the job anymore, but you're addicted, so you still have to do it just to get through your life. There's the fuel right there. It goes back to unresolved trauma and the fact that you resolve it with this addiction so you don't develop those skills. Most people, when they get into early recovery, recognize, oh my God, I have the skills. I have the behavioral management and coping skills and dealing with life skills of a 13-year-old. Because that's when I started and that's when I got addicted. Or 12 or 15 or whenever you did. Once you develop a technique for dealing with the negative in your life, you don't keep working on it. The big difference between someone who's an addict and someone, and this is true with just about all addiction, someone who's an addict versus someone who's not an addict, is that someone who's not an addict has learned to deal with life on life's terms. They know cause and effect. They understand consequences. This is why they drink 1 or 2 beers. This is why they don't gamble their home away. This is why they don't weigh 600 pounds. This is why they don't smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. They know better. They can control themselves. Can you elaborate on the distinction, please? The distinction of what, TikToker? As we go by, I forget stuff I say. So if you can the distinction between what 2 things, and I'll be happy to do it. Can corn addiction be a symptom of ADHD? No, it's a completely separate deal. Like I at first thought that my porn addiction was just a bad decision I made when I was drunk, but it's a fully separate addiction. And people who are addicts, roughly half of people who are addicts have some pre-existing mental health condition. ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder, Asperger's, ODD, all of these different ones that are out there. About half of people who are addicts have them. It's called co-occurring disorders. So you don't have porn addiction because of your ADHD, but your likelihood of being a porn addict was higher because you have a mental health condition. I myself was diagnosed bipolar about 25 years ago. Didn't know it had anything to do with my addiction back in the day, but I can see how they played off each other. I can see how they fed into each other. And I'm sure you can see how these 2 different conditions do feed into each other. Did you pin that off? Okay, you did. I see that now. Okay, I was like, wow, how did TikToker get to do that? Hi, Pat. Just making sure. Glad to see you here. Thanks for being here. What's wrong with happy ending massages? Well, unless you're in a couple of counties in Nevada, and you're in the United States, it's illegal. What's wrong with it? You're exchanging money for a sexual act. What's wrong? The fact that you need to go do this. Why do you need to go do this? Why do you need to get your sexual stimulation from somebody in a back room who's, probably doing this against their will? I mean, have you thought about that? I don't know who gave you your happy ending massages, but usually it's immigrants who don't want to be doing this, but they're basically indentured servants or slaves. Technically, if they're doing this and they don't want to, but somebody, is threatening their job or threatening their, them being in the United States, that's trafficking. So the fact that you're taking part in sex trafficking, I would say that's what's wrong with it. How bad was yours? I don't usually love to compare because mine was mine, yours is yours, the next person is theirs. Just like I'm not a fan of the debate, what's the worst addiction? I can't even decide whether alcohol or porn was worse. Everybody thinks they have the worst. And okay, that's great. Mine, yeah, it tore my life apart. It made me have to completely change my life. I almost lost my wife. I almost lost my kids. I did lose my job. I don't have my life savings anymore because I spent it on recovery early on, going to rehab. So it was bad enough that I knew that I had to make massive changes or my life. I don't think if I had not got clean when I did, that I'd still be alive today. Because I was starting to do some weird shit, like ask around if anybody knew where I could get my hands on some speed. Because I was only sleeping about 3 hours a night the last 6 months of my addiction. And I knew I couldn't keep it up. And I wanted to get my hands on, speed so I could do that. So I could keep doing this. I don't think I would have still been here today. I threw away my rubber. I finally accepted I am going to get none. I have to watch Hub now. That's kind of depressing. Why don't you work at being someone who can be a partner to somebody? Why don't you go on some dating sites? Why don't you, if you've done that and it's not working, why don't you figure out why it's not working and decide if you want to change? If you want a partner, don't give up. You don't have to watch porn now. That's the story you're telling yourself. You don't have to quit the good fight. I know some days are rougher than others, and maybe today is one of those days. Get some sleep, wake up in the morning, go for a walk. You may not like it right away, but center yourself. Think about this. Hey, Kai, KY, Kentucky. Had a stressful day at work, flooded 2 different rooms with plumbing calls, real stressful day. Yeah, that sounds like it. Nothing's more fun than floods. Haven't had the urge. Wonderful. And that's what I'm talking about. A lot of people would go home and be like, my God, I just want to forget today happened. How do I forget today? I will go look at imagery of people who I will never meet in real life, who would never look at me twice in real life. And I will fondle myself while looking at them. What does that really achieve? How can I cope with it? Asked Peter File. Peter, you can cope with it by quitting it. Are you asking if you can, how do you learn to be a good addict, or how do you quit? I don't understand what you mean by cope. Just here to listen. How did you cope with it? I need to know what you mean by cope. How did I live my life as an addict? Poorly, like all other addicts. Kai says, just learned different ways of coping and got to work at the issue. That's fantastic. I'm so glad you're sharing that. You say you're just here to listen, but you are teaching as well. It's underlying stuff half the time. I think it's underlying stuff 2/3 of the time. 3/3 of the time. All the time. Yeah, 3/3 all the time. TikToker, can you elaborate on the distinction between addiction and recreational use? Yes, absolutely. Addicts start out the same way as recreational users. Oh boy, naked people. Oh boy, touching myself. Oh boy, orgasm. Well, this all felt really good. My eyes enjoyed it. My genitals enjoyed it. My hands enjoyed it. My brain enjoyed it. There was nothing bad about this, and I'm feeling good. And you keep going and you keep going. Well, for the addict, they start to need this stuff because their brain changes. When an addict starts to use, they see relief that they've never seen before. And whatever massive trauma they're dealing with, whatever massive thing they went through, and this can still be a few years later. You know, I had some really twisted shit happen to me, 5, 6, 7 years old. It wasn't until I was 12 I became a porn addict, but I know that contributed so much to it. And ultimately, the recreational user is using it as a surrogate for sexual activity, as a surrogate for a partner, as an aid to help with masturbation. They are not thinking about it all day long. They are not preoccupied with it. It's just another thing to do, and they're probably doing it 1-2 times a month. An addicted user can't stop. An addicted user needs to use. An addicted user eventually gets to the point where it really doesn't matter what's on screen. And they will get into some weird shit. Because you build a tolerance. That's the other thing with an addiction. You build tolerance. Like when I was an alcoholic and I needed more and more beer to the point I couldn't drink beer because it didn't get me drunk and I had to switch to tequila. You build a tolerance with addiction. So you need to have longer sessions, or you need to be looking at more hardcore, extreme stuff. And if you don't know if you are an addict or you are a recreational user, what I would suggest you do, because it isn't specifically about any numbers, I would visit the front page of my profile, and up at the top where the 3 pinned videos are, there's one called The 11 Symptoms of Porn Addiction. Go watch that video. Go listen to it. Score yourself, and you can decide for yourself. 100%. And if you decide for yourself that you would like some help from me, and this goes for all of you, if you think sitting with me for an hour or maybe having multiple sessions with me would be of help to you, let's do it. Whether you're the porn addict, whether you're the partner dealing with betrayal, or whether you think the entire relationship needs to sit down and talk about how do we rebuild from here. That's what I'm trained in. All you have to do is click on the link tree and then click on the top link that says book a session. You can learn all about it right there. Okay, where am I? One thing I appreciate about you is that you rarely talk about your addiction. Well, my addiction is largely the same as everybody else's. And I usually only do that if I need to tell a story to illustrate something. I'm glad you're here. The world is a better place because of it. Oh, well, are you talking to me or someone else? I'll just assume you're talking to me. I'm 18 and watch it every day. How do I quit? Well, why are you watching it? What's making you watch it? Why do you need to watch it? That's what we need to figure out. And you're 18, so good Lord, if you can quit now, oh my God, that'd be awesome. But what's important to know, Tommy, is why did you begin in the first place? Because porn addiction, which it sounds like you probably have if you're watching every day, porn addiction is a symptom of a bigger problem. You started watching every day for a reason. And you could say, well, it feels good. Yeah, but there's 100 other things that feel good out there. This one does something special to your brain. So why does it do something special to your brain? What was going on right around the time you started? Getting off for a while. Well, I don't think we needed to know that. It has to do with your previous message. I'm just screwing with you off. Tommy, why are you using? What happened? When did you start? Why did you start? Why did you continue? Why do you think so many guys, so many of your friends don't need to watch it every day, but you do? That will lead to the answers of how you quit, because it is very individualized. Mr. Peterson, I'm on about day 2 and I'm struggling either way getting off of corn. I understand, but what advantage is there to using? Are you going to be in any better position afterwards? All right, so you got to see some boobs. Woohoo. All right, you got to have an ejaculation. Woohoo. How is it actually helping you? How is it actually helping you? And here's where I was teasing off. Guys, even if you have no partner, I can assure you the world will not stop turning if you're not getting off for a while. Yeah, exactly. And this goes back to the boobs thing. This goes back to looking at naked people. You line up 100 naked men. You line up 100 naked women, whatever you want to look at. Age 18 to 80. You're going to see people who are different colors. You're going to see people who are fatter, thinner. You're going to see people who are taller, shorter. If it's women, you'll see ones with different boob sizes, longer hair, shorter hair. You'll see different skin colors. With guys, you'll see different penis sizes. You'll see how age has hit some people and how age hasn't hit other people. But when you look at those 100 people, they're going to pretty much look the same. You line up 100 naked people, they pretty much look the same. And you've got to realize, what is it you think that you are obsessing about? Body parts? We're all born into this world naked. We are different colors. We're different. We come from different places. We have different religions. We have different political beliefs, different cultures. But we all come into this world naked. It's 9 billion people out there. We're all naked under our clothes. What is the big deal with nudity? And I'm not here to say let's all get naked and go and, frolic and have fun. What I'm trying to say is, why are you fixated on nudity? Why will you go search it up? Why do you need to, if you see something on TV and it triggers you? You see a beautiful woman walk by. Oh, I wonder what her boobs look like. Well, you know what? If you're a porn addict, I'm sure you've seen carbon copies of her boobs 500 times. You see a good-looking guy walking by, I'm sure you've seen a penis that looks just like his in porn 500 different times. What do you think you're going to see you haven't seen before? There is nothing coming forward in genital or breast technology that we haven't told you about. So here's the question. Why do you need to look at people in a state of undress, often engaging in sexual behavior? Because it's doing something up here. It's doing something up here. And you need to put into perspective, this is what you have to fix. Not down here, not here. You're not addicted to, body parts compared to the next person. You're addicted to that chemical rush. Hey, Domit, I'm so disappointed. I was on a 3-month corn-free streak the start of this month, and it's been every day since. What happened? What happened? I think now you're just justified that you can keep using because you're off the wagon. But you need to know what knocked you off the wagon. And have you really been doing well the last 12 days or however long it's been? Is it 13th? Valentine's Day tomorrow? Well, then you should all send me hearts, huh? But damn it. Why can't you get back on the wagon? You've heard me say the relapse autopsy enough times. How did you fall off the wagon after nearly 3 months? What happened? Were the voices coming in? Did you just want to check to see if you were all clear now? Something really bad happened in your life? What was it that caused you to go 3 months, damn near 100 days, and then fall off the wagon and not be able to get yourself back on it? Thank you for the flower, Terrence Davis. I appreciate it. I just start doing it because I get bored. Any advice? Yeah, you're making an excuse. Yeah, you're making an excuse. You're not bored. There's no reason to be bored in this world. There's a million things to do. Go ride a bike, go take a walk, go see a movie, go see a concert. Take a nap, make yourself a meal, watch a movie, call your grandma, vacuum the living room. You're not bored. You want to use porn, but you don't want to say to yourself, I want to use porn. It's the same thing with people with social media and when people go to bed at night. These are the 3 big excuses I get. I'm bored, social media made me do it, and I have to do it to fall asleep. This is not wanting to take responsibility for wanting to use. It's so much easier, instead of saying, I'm going to use porn, I'm going to go type in the porn site. It's so much easier to say, well, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. I'd like to do something else. I wish there was something constructive for me to do. But I guess the only option I have is to look at porn. That's crap. There's a million other things you can do. And you can make a list of them right now. If you can't think of anything when you are bored, when you want to use porn, make a list of things right now. Thank you for the gift, Domit. Your first one ever. Beautiful. Appreciate it. I like the fact you're investing in me. You don't get bored. You want to use porn and you don't want to admit it, so you tell yourself this story. Just like people tell themselves the story that I have to use if I want to sleep. Really? You think there's anybody in this world who's never fallen asleep because they didn't get to use porn? You think there's anybody in this world that TikTok actually made use porn or Instagram made you use porn? I got on social media and I used. Yeah, you wanted to. You were looking for a trigger. And you don't want the responsibility of saying I'm a user. You're gaslighting yourself. You're lying to yourself. Hello, Eli. Turkey and I haven't had any urges because of this girl, but she broke my heart, and now I don't know what to do. Well, I don't know what Turkey has to do with it. Thank you for another rose, Domit. If she broke your heart, she doesn't want to be with you. So I would say that why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with you? Look at it that way. And I'm sorry that she broke your heart, but what you're going to have to do is feel bad momentarily. Recognize that this thing you want in life is not going to happen, and then move on. All of us who have been dumped, which is probably all of us, know what you're going through. And the only thing you can do is pull up your socks, pull up your pants, button up your coat, and go live life. And it will get easier. Cumtard Johnson, thank you for following me. I see you got muted by Auth. So I can only imagine what somebody named Cumtard was saying. What are some healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with bad days or triggers? Make a list of things you can do. Be around people. Have activities you can do that create the natural dopamine and stuff. I made a video today, and it's doing horrible numbers, but I think it's funny. It occurred to me, and I'm going to ask you, while there's 30 people in here, I'm going to ask you to try this over the next few days and then report back to me. If you get an urge, if you get a trigger, start singing a song that you know the words to. Sing along with it if you can hear it, like a karaoke thing. Or hell, sing Old MacDonald or Mary Had a Little Lamb. But sing it out loud. When you are singing out loud, can you still have your urge? Can you still have your trigger? Or if you keep singing, can you not focus on the trigger because you're busy with the lyrics? I came up with this theory today when I was driving on the road. Thankfully, I had a video. The video's older, but I put up the video of me singing while I was on the road. And it occurred to me, I don't think I can sing and think about very much else at the same time. So I'm curious if other people can. So try singing. I get the urge, especially when I wake up, and it's so difficult. How do I stop? Get out of bed. Get out of bed. Go take your shower. Or if you take a shower in the morning, don't take a shower in the morning. Go be around the people you live with. Go see the people you live with. If you see them, odds are you're not going to start using in front of them. Odds are you're not going to start looking at this stuff or touching your stuff in front of them. Go be with people. Leave the house. Get up, change your morning routine. Is it true heartbreak hits men harder than women? I don't think heartbreak is... I don't know how you would measure heartbreak. Because obviously nothing's wrong with your heart. All those feelings, when we say heart, we mean brain. Your heart pumps and recirculates blood in your body. That's what your heart does. Your heart breaks, you usually die. But the sadness of losing someone, does it hit men harder than women? I don't know how you'd measure it. I don't know. I guess you could find some, statistics about men who behave in certain ways, or maybe more men are broken up with than do the breaking up. I suppose that would probably be more heartbreak, but I just don't know. I've never read anything about that. Hey, RuPaul says something similar. Oh, did I just say something RuPaul said? Fantasy, says Max. How long until the urges stop? I don't know. When did you quit trying? Or when did you quit using? Are you never looking? Are you never touching yourself? Are you doing other things when you get the urges? Or are you just, I'm not going to use. That's not going to help a lot. You're relying on just your physical recovery. And that often doesn't work. You need to also figure out, why do you think you're getting the urges? What's causing the urges? How do you address those urges? Because the thing is, your urges are different than someone else's. If you get urges, at lunch every day because you eat in the park, and there are beautiful girls suntanning, well, then I would say eat someplace else. Ultimately, and the other thing I would say is, are these pornography urges? Are these the chemical urges? Or are these sexual urges? Because we're not trying to beat the sexuality out of you here. It's still important to be a healthy sexual human being. And guess what? Healthy sexual human beings do get horny from time to time. That's normal. That's healthy. But are you getting an urge to use because you're having a sexual urge, or because something's happening up here? I guess I started thinking about my ex again and was feeling bad for myself. I don't know what happened. I feel like I self-sabotaged. Well, obviously. This was supposed to be my year after my bad breakup last year. Sounds like you had a big case of the fuckets. Okay, goodbye, Oth. Goodbye. Good seeing you. Thank you for being here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Give my love to the husband and the kids. Come on, Domit. What happened? How come you didn't fail on day 70 or day 50 or day 30? There's more to it than this. You don't go 90 days and just, guess I miss her, I'm going to use, and then not stop again. Something else is going on here. Natalie, thank you for the rose. That's very appreciated. Sam Phelps, thank you for following me. Any relationship between corn and PE? What is PE in this case? That's what I need to know, Billy. I need to know what PE means. It's fun till it's not good on you for doing what you're doing. Yeah, well, I mean, it does. Yeah, of course it feels good at first. For an addict, it feels great. Not only do you get the physical sensations of looking at porn and touching yourself, you also get a mental relief that is unlike anything you've ever had before. I mean, people ask me, how long did it take you to become a porn addict? I don't know. 3 minutes? From when my cousin showed me that first Penthouse or Hustler or whatever it was, I was hooked. I was hooked 15. I looked at these pictures in this magazine and something just clicked in me. That, aha, I found something here. This is about to change my life. And the only other time I've ever felt that was when I got drunk the first time 2 weeks later. Vibe chill. Hey, I got a question for y'all, because most of you are younger and most of you are way cooler than me. When you see two words and it has an X in the middle, are you supposed to say the X? Are you supposed to ignore it? Are you supposed to say like times? How do I address that X in all of the stuff that youth culture does? Am I supposed to say vibe times chill, vibe X chill, or just vibe chill? She took the dog but left the kids. So yeah, that's really rough. I understand as someone who has 4 dogs full time. I'm fostering 2 dogs now, and I only have 2 kids. You know, and now that I think about it, I'd rather she take the kids than the dog. Search Within, thank you for following me. Self-journaling allowed me to see I was using this as a coping mechanism. That is awesome, Search Within, and that's why I always tell people to write. Write. Get your thoughts on paper. That's a lot of what that urge journal I tell people to do is about. Yeah, you're not writing in full sentences, but one of the big things is, probably the biggest part of the urge journal is in the 10 to 15 minutes before you were using, what were you feeling and what was going on? That's journaling. So I agree with you 100%, Search Within. TikTok. You didn't see my message in time. Okay, heading out now. Okay. Bye, Oth. Just wanted to say thank you. I stumbled across your live and it has inspired me to change. Well, I'm thrilled to hear that. I hope that you're following me. I hope you'll check in periodically and let us know how you're doing. Premature ejaculation. Yeah, that's called ED. That's a version of ED. Thank you for the rose, Domit. Erectile dysfunction is if you can't get hard, if you can't stay hard, if you finish too early, or if you don't finish at all. That's erectile dysfunction. And is there any relationship between those two things? Absolutely. When I was 20 years old, and we're now going back, sadly, more than 25 years, when I was 20 years old, the erectile dysfunction rates among guys my age, at the time 20, were like 2-3%. Now they're like 5-10 times that. The erectile dysfunction rates in guys who are 18 to 25 have gone through the roof, much like the porn usage rates have. Once we had high-speed internet and everybody had a smartphone, the rates of porn consumption and the rates of porn addiction exploded. So, yeah, absolutely, Billy. It does have to do with it. Domit says, so I accidentally stumbled upon it, but then ignored it and then started to think about it a few days after. And I might have been a little sad, so I went back to it. Amy says, give an example of the X. What do you mean by the X, Amy? And I only ask because I say all kinds of things and then I move on and then I forgot what I talked about. Sir, do you do coaching full-time or do you have any other gigs? I do coaching full-time. I am working on 2 other books right now, 2 new books right now, because it's been a few years since I put one out. I've been working on those. I do have other projects I work on, but my full-time career is, and for the last 5 years, has been helping porn addicts in coaching, helping their partners with betrayal trauma in coaching, and helping the relationship as a whole with a disclosure certification that I have. And if anybody here is interested in having a one-on-one session with me, I'd love to meet you, love to talk about things. We can do this for less than half of what a therapist will cost. We can do this within the next day or 2. You won't have to wait weeks. And all you have to do, if you want more information on booking, if you want to see dates, go up to my link tree up at the top here of my front page, click on that, and the first option is book with me. Lath, so what if the only way to sleep is to do it? Yeah, it's not, dude. It's not. You may have trouble sleeping a night or 2, but if you think you're never going to sleep again unless you masturbate to pictures of people you don't know doing sexual things, you don't understand how sleep works. You're telling yourself the story. The only way you can sleep is to do this. Have you ever thought maybe you want to do this? Have you ever thought maybe you like this? Have you ever thought that I need it to sleep is an excuse? What if you used 3 hours before you went to bed? Would you still be able to, would you tell yourself, well, I did it so I can sleep? What if you did it in the morning? Is the time too far, so now you have to do it again? You're not talking about the rules of science and nature here, Lath. You've invented a story that allows you to use porn in a way that you convince yourself, I have to use porn. The rest of us are falling asleep just fine. You can too. Hey, Ray, is it possible to be addicted to sitting on the toilet for long periods of time? I've never heard of that, but I suppose anything's possible. How long does it usually take to get over PIED? Well, Cedric, it depends how you try. Depends how long you've had it. Depends who you are. If you're a 55-year-old guy who doesn't want to quit, who sits around all day, who doesn't exercise, it's going to take you forever. You may not even get better. The number 1 and number 2 rule are you stop looking at the stuff, and number 2, you stop touching yourself, no matter who you are. That's what you absolutely have to do. And then it's going to take time. If you're younger, if you're more active, if you've been using less, if you stick to the plan of not using and not looking religiously, you'll heal faster. But there is no chart where I can say, well, since you are 26 years old, you weigh 180 pounds, and you go to the gym 3 times a week, this is how long it'll take. Maybe someday we will have that chart, but that's not today. I'd ask you this. How long did it take you to get PIED? It's going to be less to get over it. I've always wanted to know this, but will corn addiction cause erectile dysfunction? Yes. I think you know the answer to that now. Yes. Mini Aussie Doodle. What a cute thing. It's only going to get worse with AI. Absolutely. I think people will end up having AI partners in 10 years. It's happening now. There are apps. And I had one client a while ago who he was married. He just hated his marriage. He was unhappy. There was no physicality. There was no emotion. There was no intimacy. And not just sexual intimacy, but, like I said, emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy. There was no vulnerability. So he found one of these virtual girlfriends, and he could talk to her on the way to work and on the way back. And he said that it was pretty easy to get lost in it. And I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've heard there's a very good movie called Her with Joaquin Phoenix, and the voice is Scarlett Johansson. That kind of is this scenario. Lester GTA 5. I know that's probably a video game, but I don't know why you said that. But will we have what we know as traditional person-on-person relationships, i.e. the girlfriend is AI? Well, I mean, let's be honest. AI cannot procreate. AI cannot create children. AI is not going to, at this point, go out to dinner and see a movie with you. AI is not going to come home and keep you warm in bed at night. Since I was a little kid, we've been pushed, the idea of virtual reality has been pushed on us. I remember watching this horrible HBO show in the early 90s called Real Sex. That's 30 years ago, and they were pushing computer porn. They were pushing VR porn. Pretty soon we'll all put on a headset and it'll be just like the real thing. Well, here we are 30 years later. It's not like the real thing. So, and AI, the most AI can really do right now, except, have these little conversations with you. There are apps where you can remove people's clothes, but those are quickly becoming more and more illegal. Hopefully AI is used for good. Because really right now, AI seems to be more about how can I make myself look like a Disney character or a Viking. No Diggity followed me. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's very difficult, but if I can make it that far, I can do more. No, of course you can. I don't know where you... Ali, I think you said something and it got blocked by the censors here, unfortunately. Before you said it's very difficult. I think you might have said something that got blocked. But you said, if I can make it that far, I can do more. Well, I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but you can always do more. You can always get better. These are your choices. What's your top 3 pieces of advice to stop watching as a college-age male? Oh, you think I'm a college-age male. Thank you. I'm kidding. My top 3 pieces of advice to stop watching. Number 1, figure out why you're watching. And the answer is trauma. Number 2, create an urge journal so you can understand your use on a day-to-day basis. And number 3, book a session with me so we can get to the bottom of this quickly. No Diggity said, and if you want to book with me, front page in the link tree. That's how my marriage is. So why are you there, dude? Why are you there? You can fix things, or you can walk away, find something else. But there's no reason to be long-term unhappy in any relationship. If I jay off a lot, what can happen to my body? Well, I mean, if you're an addict, all kinds of things are happening to your body. If you do it a lot, if you're talking about, your penis, because your name's Tony, you can, cause friction burns. You can cause erectile dysfunction. You can cause all kinds of this kind of stuff. Mini Aussie Doodle, it will evolve. You will get morning pics from her. Right amount of text calls. Are you predicting or hoping? It may evolve, but you know what? Here's the thing, Mini Aussie Doodle. We'll all have the option to not do it. We'll all have the option to not use. And if this exists, will some people get lost in it? Of course. Of course. But what we need to do is educate. What we need to do is teach people this isn't the right way to be. And then let them make their decisions. J. Snod, 11, you just got done. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. McLovin. Testicular torsion or infection. I got that from it. I suppose that's possible. The more you handle a part of your body, the more, that could happen. So thank you, McLovin. Sure. And there is going some room machine if you interact with her in VR that's so real. Doesn't exist yet. And if it does somewhere, it's for rich weirdos because normal people can't pay for it. Sarah Moz, haven't seen you in a long time. Hi, Josh. Hope you're well. I'd also say learn about the industry. To stop it is not all what it seems. Oh, absolutely, Sarah. Absolutely. I mean, I think you've heard me mention that, I have met and talked with so many more porn stars since I started doing this. I'm sure if I made the list of porn star names that I've talked to, there'd be some guys out there who are porn addicts that got really excited. And the thing they all tell me, they all support me for the most part. And the thing they keep telling me is keep doing your thing. Keep doing your thing. Let them know this isn't real. Let them know it takes 4 hours to film a 10-minute video. It's fiction. Porn is fiction. And that's part of the problem with it is that do the 12 and 13-year-old girls and boys who are watching it and getting hooked on it right now, it's their sex ed for the 2020s. What is it that they are learning? Well, those of us who have been in healthy sexual relationships know that pornography isn't real. We know it's not a reality show. We know it's not a documentary. But how is a 12-year-old going to know that? So yeah, absolutely. Hey, Alan Diaz, how much is too much corn? At what point would you say it's addiction? I would say that you should go to the front page of my profile, look at the top video that's pinned that says the 11 symptoms of corn addiction, and you can decide for yourself if you have an addiction. There's no number about too much. I have had clients who used once or twice a week and absolutely were addicted. I've had clients who have come and met with me who use 3 times a week and don't show signs of addiction. It's rare, but I'm not here to decide if you're an addict because addict is just a word. It's just a label. It's a label you get if you have a certain amount of symptoms. So go watch that video on my front page, pinned at the top, and you can find out if you actually are an addict. And then more important than that, are you going to do anything about it? Sketch Daily. My issue is I like feet. And I don't want to seem like a creep, so I have to watch. Why do you think if you like feet, that makes you different than someone who likes asses or someone who likes elbows? Or someone who likes watching, someone rub ice cream all over their, breasts. Kinks, fetishes, completely normal. If you look at feet the way that people look at pornography, it's porn for you. Same kind of thing applies as to how you have to get through it. I don't care what body part you like the most. It's like people say to me, if I'm looking at girls in swimsuits and I'm masturbating to that, does that mean I have a porn addiction? Holy crap. I got a Galaxy. That's my first one. Who the hell gave that to me? Mini Aussie Doodle. You are my best friend. I've never got a Galaxy before. You kick ass. Thank you. All of these, I don't make in a month what most of these broadcasters make in a day, but every little bit helps. So thank you. That highlight of my day. Thank you. So yeah, you like the feet sketch daily. That's cool. That's cool. You're going to have to do the same thing to get through it, to get over it. Feet do for you what other parts do for other people. Obviously, don't go to a beach and start walking around and staring at girls' feet and look at that. You're not going to do that over, breasts. Or anyway, what I was saying before I got the Galaxy and was so taken back. Thank you, by the way. Again, thank you. I have people who ask me, I look at girls in bathing suits. Does that count as porn addiction? Yeah. If you're using it like it's porn addiction. And that means maybe we should change the name. Maybe it's sexual media addiction. But yeah, it's the same thing. Kay Marie, how are you? I supported my ex through rehab and therapy for a year, and he just didn't want to change. I'm sorry you wasted all that money and energy. But I'll say what I say to people who share stories like that. My favorite part about your sentence is the word ex. I'm glad you learned your lesson. I'm glad you moved on. In my coaching, I never tell people you should break up. I never tell people you should stay together. I say you should do the right thing for you, and I can help you figure that out. But it's ultimately your decision. And sometimes it's much harder to leave than it is to stay. So I think it's awesome you show so much compassion and empathy that you supported your ex through rehab and therapy. That takes a strong person, and he didn't want to change. There's a weak person. A strong person doesn't need to waste their time with a weak person. So good on you, Kay Marie. Sarah Moss, yep, they all say it, and it has filters and scripts and prep. They don't actually enjoy it. It's money, of course. They're cold. It's embarrassing for guys who can't keep erections for hours on end if it's part of your job. If you watch porn, when you see the camera cut to another angle, odds are there was a complete stop there. Remember how everybody used to talk about Skinamax Friday nights? It's not, still the same way, but Cinemax on Friday nights used to have softcore porn. But most of those movies also had a hardcore version. They shoot multiple versions of movies at the same time. So it can get onto cable, or it can get into hotel rooms, or on pay-per-view, or on the internet, depending on what the rules are. Porn exists to make money. The fact you get off on it is why people keep being consumers. But the pornographers don't care about you. They care about making money. Dave Lover. So is your name Dave, or do you just like guys named Dave? Thank you for following me. What do you think of Soylent? I like Soylent Green. I still can't figure out what it's made up of, but, I do like Soylent. Soylent Green. If you see Sophie Rain every day, I don't see Sophie Rain every day. I only see it when she shows up on Google News for doing something crazy again or making crazy money. She's not one of the people I've spoken with. Dave Lover. I need Chris Whaleston. However, he has been able and has a great experience in this area of his work. I'm not familiar with the name. Is there a healthy way to use it? No, Big Black. Unfortunately, there isn't. The most you can hope for is that it doesn't damage you. Much like if you're a gambler or you go to a casino once a year, twice a year. That doesn't make you a gambling addict, but what you're doing is not healthy. Drinking isn't healthy, but you can drink and not be an alcoholic. There's nothing healthy about playing video games, but you can play 30 minutes or an hour here and there and not be an addict. So, yes, most people who use pornography, most men and women who use pornography are not addicts. The vast majority are not addicts. But it's not healthy. At best, it's not unhealthy. Heck yeah, they did. I remember. All right, mini Aussie duel. And again, thank you so much for that, Galaxy. That was awesome. That was awesome. And you've been following me a long time. I appreciate that. And Sarah says it was worth a Galaxy. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Mini Aussie Doodle. Really, really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. Sarah says, I never looked until I had my D-Day. Then I was horrified at the material I came across. Made me sad. Yeah, and that's absolutely the case. I'm not going to lie and say I haven't seen pornography since I got clean. Of course I have. I work in this industry. And there are trolls that like to send it to me. And I've had to go do research. And you know what? I remember the first time, probably about 3-4 years ago, I was writing, I think it was my last book, and I needed some statistics from Pornhub because I believed Pornhub's analytics were lying to us. So I thought I could go onto the Pornhub site to prove that the fake incest or faux cest genre was actually much bigger than Pornhub was claiming. And I could have asked my wife to go and get these numbers, but I said to myself, you know what? It's been like 8 years. If I can't say no to this stuff the way that I say no to alcohol when I see it, something's wrong. So I got on Pornhub and I wrote down the statistics that I needed. And yes, I did see all of those thumbnails. And it's funny that you say that, Sarah, because when I looked at those thumbnails myself, all I could think was, those people look sad. Those people look depressed. Those people have faraway gazes that say, I wish I was somewhere else. And it doesn't matter if it was high budget porn. It doesn't matter if it was just two people in their bedroom. They didn't look happy. That's the thing that struck me more than anything else. Their faces told a story. It made me sad. It made me sad that I objectified these kinds of people for so long, that I just used them as body parts for what I needed. And I don't get into the moral part of this. You know that. I don't get into the moralization very much when it comes to porn because I don't think it's necessary for healing from addiction. But yeah, it didn't look like a bunch of happy people to me. I felt nauseous and I lost so much respect for humanity. Well, I truly believe that we are going to learn more about the people who make porn. I know that I believe, and I think OnlyFans is the opening of this. My third book that I wrote was called Porn in the Pandemic. And I looked at the first 3 months of the pandemic and what it did for the online world of pornography. The online world of pornography probably grew in 3 months what would have taken 5 years without the pandemic. And one of the things that I did was that I interviewed a bunch of people who were just starting on OnlyFans and just starting on websites or cam sites because they lost their job during the pandemic. And I wanted to get their opinions of it from starting to, moving on. So I talked with a couple guys and I talked with quite a few girls, or young ladies, young men who were, retail people, who were bartenders, who were hostesses, waiters, waitresses, all those industries where everybody got furloughed, where they shut down for a while. And they all basically said the same thing at first. I'm going to do this to make money. I've got to pay my rent. I've got to get food for my kid. And I'm never going to fight you on doing what you have to do to provide for yourself and your family. Even if I don't like it, I'm not going to fight you on it. And I'm not going to make you feel worse about yourself on it. But here's the thing. About 4 or 5 months later, as I was finishing up the research for the book, as I was finishing writing certain parts of it, I got in touch with a lot of these people who were models 3, 4, 5 months later. And what I heard really kind of bothered me, especially with the young ladies. What I was hearing was, oh, I can't get a date in real life. Guys won't pay attention to me. But I've got guys on here who love me. I've got guys on here who have asked to fly me out to them, who have made marriage proposals and are serious. I love that if I'm having a bad day, I can just come on here for a few minutes, flash my boobs, charge $1 for it, and I get all the attention that I want. I can make a video using a toy and I can charge $20 for it. And by the end of the day, I'll have $500 because people think I'm pretty and want to see me do that. And they like me. Do you know what I heard there when they said this kind of stuff? What I heard was, I like the dopamine this causes. I like the oxytocin this causes. And it occurred to me, is it really that different to be addicted to porn as a consumer versus a producer? Think about that. Is there that much difference with porn addiction as a consumer versus a producer? Because it sounded like, and again, I am going to say that in my small sample, it was mostly younger ladies. They learned objectifying made them feel worthwhile. Objectifying themselves, making this stuff, made them feel loved, gave them the attention they wanted. Activated those chemicals, the pleasure chemicals. So I truly believe that producing porn and consuming porn are just different sides of the same coin. Sarah says, not to mention they get into it before their frontal cortex is developed. Then they regret it. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, the big proof of this, and what I worry about these women who have created just volumes of hours of content out there. Go watch the documentary on the Girls Gone Wild series that's on Peacock. There's no dirtiness in it. Just about anybody could watch it. I mean, it could trigger you, I guess, but there's nothing you can't see. The one thing that stuck out to me was there was a girl she was of legal age. She did sign the paper. She flashed when she was like 19 or 20 outside of a bar in Florida or Texas when, the Girls Gone Wild cameras were there, when she was drunk off her ass, and she was shown for like 9 seconds in the video. Big deal, right? Well, they chose her picture to be on the front cover of the video. They also ran commercials nonstop in the 90s that showed that clip, obviously censored, and her face, like that, with the bar censoring it, was on the front of the video package. And she says, here we are, almost 25, 30 years later, and people still ask her to this day, is she that girl? And of course, she had no idea the internet was going to explode in the, early mid-90s. That video is now plenty of places on the internet that other people can go see. And this was a woman who was drunk and did this for 9 seconds. What is this going to mean later on for the people who have 9 hours or 90 hours of content out there? Joel 5321, I'm 50 and I only have 200,000 saved so far for retirement. Am I in trouble? Well, if you're an American, I would assume you have another 15 years or so of being employed. I, instead of getting advice from me, would talk to a financial planner. Are you in trouble? Well, if you want to retire at 65 and you live to be 95, yeah, that 200,000 isn't going to take you the whole way. Especially if something big happens. But I would talk to a financial advisor, not me. I wanted to objectify myself after I had my D-Day to feel worthy. Very common what ladies say. Very common that you feel like to understand it, you have to do that. I get it. Mint Choco, watching is the only thing I look forward to on the weekends. I spent hours watching it. That's a shame. So much to do on the weekends. Have you ever seen VR Corn point of view any position? Are you asking if I've worn the helmet? No, I have not ever worn a helmet when VR porn was playing. But I totally would to see what it is, to see where we are technologically. I'd watch about 15 seconds and go, oh, okay, this is what it's about, and then I'd move on. I've watched some of the worst stuff on the internet. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Why? Does that make you feel better? Does it fix whatever your problem is? Is this what you're looking forward to? Watching depraved, twisted porn on the weekend? How does that make you feel? Great question, Sarah. Great question. Oculus VR. Yeah, that's the big headset but it's still expensive. And you still have to get the porn for it. Work keeps me busy during the weekdays, so it feels like a reward, but it leaves me feeling empty. Then why don't you go do something more worthwhile? Go see a movie. Go out with friends. Go to dinner. Take a little trip. Take a day trip somewhere you've never been. Fix up stuff around the house. So many other things you can do that are so much more rewarding. Because really, what is it a reward for? That you had a week at work? We all did. But most of us don't need to look at naked people for hours on end for 2 days. As a good job. I would hope that, like Sarah says, if it's leaving you feeling empty, you probably need to explore this a little bit. Maybe book an appointment with a coach who I know. Oh, wait, that's me. If I can help you with this, dude, front page of the profile, click on the link tree, click on the book a session. Been 72 hours since I last watched Triple X. Good for you, Ralph. 3 days is not a tiny amount when you're an addict. Every addict has that day 3 when they recover. I should say every recovered addict or every recovering addict. I'm about to hit day 4,000 here. I had a day 3. I had a day 12. I had a day 20. Favorite Pink Floyd song? Probably Wish You Were Here. Or The Division Bell. I actually saw them in 1993, I think it was, on the Division Bell tour. I can't believe I am referencing things from 30 years ago. Hey, what's wrong? One of my old little dogs just jumped off the bed. Wreck-It Ralph. Wonder where you got that song or that name. I've been watching it since the age of 9. A lot of guys are now. Because we give every kid a smartphone and say, have a good day at school, Junior. Boys and girls are getting into this. And it's happening. When I started in the late 80s, and I was 12, I was a year younger than the average guy saw porn. I was 2 years younger than when the average girl saw porn for the first time. Nowadays, I'm 2 years older than when the average guy saw porn for the first time. And I was a year older than when the average girl sees porn for the first time now. It has gone down by years. All right. Hey, we're all caught up. That's fantastic. I just got the message that I've been here for 90 minutes, and I already did one of these earlier today for almost 90 minutes, so I've been on here a lot, and I need to take a break. In fact, I need to go to bed. It must be damn near 10 p.m. on the East Coast. I want to thank you for being here. I want to remind you, if you need any help in this area, I'm here for you. We can talk if you're an addict. We can talk if you're the partner of an addict. We can talk about the communication. We can talk about the trust in the relationship. I'm here to help. Just visit my link tree and click on the first option. And if you go to that link tree, you can also see all my other social media. You can see a link to my books. You can see a link to my website. You can see a link to my YouTube page where these videos get archived. I usually pick the 3-4 best in a week, and then I put those up for people to watch again. It's only 6:45. Come on, Ralph, I'm not that slow. Unless you're on the West Coast. And if you're on the West Coast, boy, do I have some news for you. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. I'm trying to get my damn dog. Come on, come on, I got you. Whee! Okay, this is one of the puppies, or one of the dogs, because it's an old dog, I am fostering. Hey, Wreck-It Ralph, I almost decided to go to LA today, but I decided to go to Las Vegas instead. So yeah, it's 6:45 there, but it's 9:45 here. So it's much later. Hey, Sandra, glad you're here. Glad you're here. Mr. Shits, what advice would you give to a new couple in their early 20s? Well, I would. My son is in LA right now, and he says it's been nonstop raining. He sent me a picture today. He's a senior in college out there on an internship, and where he takes his classes is across the street from Universal Studios, and he sent me a picture of it raining today. So it does rain in LA. The only place it's always sunny is Philly. No, Des, I haven't tried Soylent. I have not tried Soylent, but I hear that Soylent Green is made of people. Advice to give new couple in their early 20s, I would say have a conversation about your pornography use and get on the same page so you understand the rules. And here's the thing with a relationship. Whoever is more conservative sexually is going to be the one who sets the rules. You can compromise, but don't push the person to do what they don't want to do. Is it just as bad to read as it is to watch? I don't consume porn, but I'm curious. If it does the same thing to your brain, yeah. If you watch it, if you read it the way that other people use the visual aspect of it or listen to it. I have a client who after she got clean, she got caught up listening to audiobooks. She'd only do it once a week on Sundays when her husband was watching football, and she would, take their dog for a hike. But she found herself listening to, those kinds of romantic novels. And we had to stop her because it was causing triggers. It was causing urges. So she couldn't listen to it because for her, it was porn. So it can be just as bad as pornography, Oreo or Ryan. And that's a great question. It doesn't have to be a photo or a video. It can be a song. It can be a drawing. It can be, anything. What are signs of addiction? I watch multiple times a day, worried. Existence, go check out my front page. Up at the top, there's a pinned video. It's called The 11 Symptoms of Corn Addiction. You can figure that out for yourself because there are 11 symptoms. I'm not going to list them all right here when I already have a video that can do that job for me. Sarah says, the only good thing is that it's not actually objectifying people. Why not? What do you mean it's not objectifying people? Of course it is. If I look at a picture of a naked woman, I don't know her name. I don't know where she's from. I'm just objectifying another human. I mean, she's real, sure. But if I'm hearing a book, and I'm thinking about it after they describe somebody, aren't I kind of doing the same thing? And what if the book is nonfiction? Or what if the book, what if I picture a character to be Scarlett Johansson? I know what her boobs look like because I saw them in movies. What if I picture it to be someone who I know what they look like? I think it is still technically objectifying. But, you know what also, Sarah, that's probably semantics. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening up here. All right. I'm glad I could answer that for you, Existence. I hope you can watch that. Again, anybody needs a session, you know how to book one with me. Thank you so much for being here today. I am sure I will do another one of these tomorrow. If you're not following me, please do, and you will see when I pop up and do these. I want to thank you all for being here. Got a lot of gifts today. That's always very helpful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have a good night, Oreo Orion. You have a good night, Sarah. It was great being here with all of you. Good night, Existence. Good night, Des. Good night, Wreck-It Ralph. Good night to all of you. We will see you all real soon.